1 second right there. Hold on 1 second there. Yes, sirree. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. All right. Let's see here. We're live on the X. We're live on the Twitch. Are we live on the YouTube? Let's make sure the audio works. There we go. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. Excellent. Excellent, 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 ladies and gentlemen. All right. So, let's get everything all set up and ready to go. Let's get everything all set up. Let's see here. All right, let's get all the announcements out. Boom, right there. Boom, right there. All right. All right, right here. Bop, right there. All right. All right. Bop, right there. Get all this out here. Getting all these announcements up. Good morning, good morning, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. How's everybody doing today? Hope you guys are having a fantastic Wednesday. Hope you guys had a fantastic Wednesday. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys are doing well. All right. Here we go. Got everything all set. Bobo Beef says, howdy, howdy, Bobo. How you doing, Bobo? Hope you're doing well, man. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're making a lot of money. Hope you're making a lot of money. So we got that going on right there. Let's see. Let's see here. Boom. All right. Everything looks good. Everything looks copacetic. Okay. All right. Oh, we got the glitch going on here. Give me a second. 1 second, 1 second. All right. Hold on 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. Just getting everything all set up over here. All right. There we go. It's all set. All right. Beautiful. There we go. There we go. All right. Let's make sure we got everything over here. Make sure we get everything shared up for the YouTubes. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. Hold on. Let's make sure we got everything shared up over here. All right. Bop right there. Beautiful. Let's get this over here. Okay. There we are. All right. All right. We got everything all set up and ready to go. All right. Actually, hold up. Oh, wait. Just got to get this thing over here for the real time, for the chat. There we go. All right. Set that up there. Set this up here. All right. Boom. All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get this started. What's up, guys? It's Double Nix, and welcome to another episode of Microcap Mornings. I am your host, with the most. They call me DBL Nixon House, a.k.a. the Rainmaker. And I am here with the lovely Serengeti specialist herself. She likes to hang around the tall weeds, the high trees, the low seas, hitting them high knees. Sometimes she likes 2 cups of coffee. Other times she likes to jet ski. Other times she likes to regular ski. Other times she gets shot out the cannon and she goes, wee! Other times she likes to go to RBs and watch videos of puppies and kitties. Other times she likes to go into the stock market and find them ABCDs. Sometimes she likes to go in there. She did call some wonderful stocks like BENF, JDZG, and AUUD. We call her DBL Moms. Hey! All right, so that's what we got going on, folks. That's what we got going on. All right. Let's get this show started, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get the show started 1 second. But before we do, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, as well as ring that bell icon to stay notified when new videos are uploaded. And remember to share, because sharing is caring, ladies and gentlemen. Sharing is caring. And, of course, if you want access to our private Discord, link to join is in the description down below, as well as the pinned comment section. So be sure to check that out. We pick a lot of baggers a lot of times. We are just made different. And the early bird gets the cash, the moolah, the loot, the cashola, the big bucks, I tell you. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's what we got going on today. That is what we got going on. Night Road, good morning. Good morning. Hope you're doing well, man. Hope you're doing well. All right. So, as of now, we're currently chilling out, keeping an eye on the stock market. Over here, keeping an eye on the stock market. All right, we did call some wonderful stocks earlier today. We called over here. Stand by. We called JDZG, JDZG. We called this all. We called this stock on our Discord, private Discord server prior to its run up 131%. Sorry about that. My voice is a little hoarse, ladies and gentlemen. 131% right there. There we go. All right. Prior to 131%. All right. Let's see here. All right. All right. So, JDZG, we call that stock on our private Discord server prior to its run up 131%. 131%. All right. We also called another stock. We called BENF. BENF ran up a nice 92%. BENF ran up a nice 92% right there. There we go. All right. So BENF ran up a nice 92%. And then, of course, we called another stock. We called AUUD. AUUD. We called that stock on our private Discord server prior to its run up 100%. 100%. There we go. So that's what we got going on right now, folks. That is what we got going on. Consistency, good morning. Real Deal, good morning, Real Deal. How you doing? All right. Consistency asks for YELP. YELP, let's take a look. We obviously know who Yelp is. Yes, we know who Yelp is. All right, they do the reviews. They do the reviews. All right, so all right, let's see here. So as of now, Yelp is currently down 1%. 1%. It is a bit pricey at $20.68 as well for a normal stock. It's a little bit pricey, but nothing crazy. Let's take a look over here. Let's take a look over here. Had a bit of an uptrend earlier in the day, going up here. Made a bit of a not even that, not even descending wedge, just a bit more of a longer range ABCD. Had some ABCDs going up here, right? And then kind of started making more movements upwards here. It made a bit of a pennant for a time, bop right there, right? And then kind of curled up off that pennant and then made another smaller pennant right here. Let me make this bigger. And then kind of just started consolidating, and it was pretty much a choppy uptrend all around. So as of now, it's kind of but it is showing a little bit lower volume over here. Let's take a look at the float. Float is 36.7 million. Volume is now 100, so it's not looking too schmexy. It's now very low volume, heavy float, very expensive. So, I mean, as far as YELP is concerned, it's expensive. Right here, YELP, expensive stock with low volume, needs volume to break choppiness and curl. So that's what it's got going on right there. That's what it's got going on. All right. So that's YELP. Let's take a look at TTD. Well, actually, before we do, does YELP have any news? Let's check and see. Goldman Sachs maintains neutral on Yelp price target, lowers price target to 25 cents per dollars. JP Morgan maintained neutral on Yelp and lowered their price target to $22. 4 analysts shared their views. Not a lot of people seem to really think much of Yelp as of now, so we'll see what goes on there. TTD. All right, let's take a look over here for the chart. All right, TTD, very choppy, very choppy over here. All right, if you look, a lot of choppiness all over this chart. A lot of indecisive wicks, meaning low volume. Does have some confirmed Q4 earnings due in 7 days from now on Wednesday, the 25th, after market closes. So we got that going on right there. That is what we got going on right there. All right. Stand by, ladies and gentlemen. I'll be right back. Just got to go grab something real quick. All right, I'm back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm back. All right, so TTD, as of now, very choppy. Not looking too schmexy. Let's take a look at the float. Float is 437 million, so it's a very heavy float. Volume is 39,000, so it's very low volume. As of now, let's take a look at the news. It says here top picks, but other than that, they filed a form schedule 13G on the 9th of February. So, I mean, it's not really much in terms of news. So as of now, TTD, very low volume. Needs that volume to stay above the VWAP, if anything. TTD, very low volume. Needs to stay above the VWAP and needs volume to move upwards. But it's very heavy in terms of float, very light in terms of volume. Not particularly schmexy to me. We'll see what happens. Let's take a look at WBUY. WBUY shot up nicely and then made a bit of a pennant over here. So let's get this over here. Let's get this over here. Bop right there. All right. Made a bit of a pennant and is below the VWAPA as of now. Below the VWAPA, has to break above the double top over here at $1.44. Right, that's what's got to do right there, because it does have a double top at $1.44. Then went back down over here. So right now it just needs to break this pennant and needs to break above the VWAP for it to be somewhat schmexy to mya. That's what WBUY needs there. So we'll see what goes on there. WBUY needs to break above the pennant and the VWAPA. And let's get a share party going, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get to the first 100. First 100, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get to the first 100. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. Let's take a look at AUUD. AUUD. As of now, AUUD is currently had a bit of a choppy uptrend over here. A little bit of a choppy uptrend over here. Dropped down quite a bit and then curled back up on a very weird looking ABCD, a very weird looking one, and then formed a bit of a pennant over here, fell below the VWAP right over here. So as of now, AUUD up 68%, has some unconfirmed Q4 earnings due in 14 days from now on Wednesday, March 4th, after the market closes. So we got that going on. Can you believe that it's almost the end of February, by the way, ladies and gentlemen? That went by fast. I don't know about you guys, but it went by fast for me. All right, AUD needs to break the pennant. AUUD needs to break the VWAPA and the pennant for it to be somewhat schmexy to mya. Let's see about what it has going on for news. We know that it has a 3 million float, 58 million volume. So the volume is excellent on the stock. Float is pretty good. All right, it's a reasonable float, nothing bad. Let's see about the news for it. All right, so there is news that came out today. All right, asking why it surged overnight, and the move followed the company's SEC filing disclosing a definitive agreement and plan for merger with Colorado-based Thraman Holdings LLC. So they are a merger play right there. So that's what they got going on right there. They signed a definitive merger agreement for a business combination, and their stock surged amidst this big merger deal announcement. So they got a merger going on, which is what they've got planned in the hopper. So that's what they got going on. They have to break above the VWAP over here. AUD must break above this VWAP and has to break above this pennant for it to be somewhat schmexy to me. But as of now, nothing really crazy to say about it as of now. AUD did have a nice 100% run earlier in the day, but as of now, it's up 65% and needs to break the VWAP as well as the pennant for it to be somewhat schmexy to me. Jasmine, how you doing? As for AUUDW. All right, let's see. AUUDW. Okay, so this one right here is up 692%, but the thing is, not only is it sub penny, it's also very, very choppy. So this is not something I particularly would trade. Me personally, not something I'd be interested in, because it has indecisive wicks here, here, and here. A lot of indecisive wicks, which means that it's very low in terms of volume. So not a lot of volume going on over here. It's moving up, but it's very low on volume, meaning it's very choppy, which means that the price action is going to be all over the place. It's not moving in a smooth fashion. So thus, it doesn't exactly make sense for me to look into here. So as of now, AUUDW, it's up 692%, but it's sub penny, right? So it's 1 cent. It's 0.0198 cents. All right, so it's about 1 cent, going near 2 cents. But as of now, nothing too schmexy to mya. You know what I mean? So let me take a look at the overview over here. Let's take a look at the float. The float is unavailable. Volume is 5,000. So the 5,000 volume is pretty low. News. Let's take a look at the news as of now. They do have that news of the definitive merger agreement for the business combination over here in their little article over here that they have going on Global Newswire. So they got that going on right there. But as of now, AUUDW is a very choppy stock. Not something I'd trade. It's a warrant as well. So it's very, very choppy. I'm not much of a warrants guy anyway. So it just be like that. AUDW, very choppy. Low volume. Needs volume to climb high. Again, it's also a warrant, so it'd be like that. All right, let's take a look at JDZG. JDZG. Let's take a look at JDZG. Little bit of choppiness going on with JDZG. They do have a 20 million float, which is a bit of a heavy float. Volume is 13 million, so the volume is lower than the float. Not a schmexy look there. We'll see what goes on here, but there's a lot of choppiness going on in the stock right here. JDZG, JAD Limited right there. JAD Limited. Class A ordinary shares up 49%, but they are below the VWAP and showing signs of choppiness and indecisive wicks. So that shows that it is a very low volume stock. Let's take a look at the news, see what's going on with it. And we don't have much to really go on here. So, I mean, it did have something on Tuesday, so we'll see what goes on there. It reversed part of last week's rally. The stock had surged 125% on Friday, but as of now, not looking too schmexy to me. JDZG needs more volume to me, but it did have a nice run. I will give it credit. It had a nice run. JDZG did run a nice 131%, but again, very choppy now. It's lower on the volume scale. So JDZG needs more volume to break above the VWAP. All right, there we go. All right, let's take a look at AUD. Let's see how it's doing. Still needs to break the pennant. Still needs to break the VWAP. AUD still needs to break the VWAP. There we go. Let's take a look at what else we got. Let's get a share party going. Let's get to 200. All right, LRHC. Let's see how that's doing. La Rosa Holdings shares are trading higher after the company announced it acquired the remaining 49% interest in La Rosa Realty Prestige. So LRHC has that going on. Low float, nice high volume at 29 million volume. Float is 496,000. So we got that going on right there. Let's take a look over here. All right. Shot up like a rocket, but then formed a bit of a descending wedge just below the VWAP. So LRHC, as of now, LRHC needs to break above the descending wedge and the VWAP. There we go. There we go. All right. Let's see what else we got. What else we got? All right. All right. Let's see here. MNDR. Let's see how that's doing right now. MNDR, very, very choppy. Mobile Health Network Solutions, Class A ordinary shares. Boom. That's what we got going on right there. All right. It is forming a bit of a pennant over here and is also below the VWAP as of now, up 25%. MNDR has a 2 million float, 10 million volume. Volume is nice and high, so that's good. It's higher than the float, but it does need to break above the VWAP, and it does need to break above the pennant right here. MNDR needs to break the pennant and the VWAP. There we go. For it to be somewhat schmexy to Mya. That's what we got going on, folks. That is what we got going on. Let's take a look, see what else we got over here. What else do we have over here? Hold on 1 second. 1 second. All right. 1 sec. All right. All right. All right. All right. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. All right. Somebody requested NBIS. NBIS. Very heavy stock. Very expensive stock, too. All right. This stock does not look too schmexy to me. Not looking too schmexy. Has a very heavy float of 213.7 million. Volume is 213,000. So the volume is extremely low. Float is extremely high. It's very choppy. Lot of double tops over here at the $99.29 mark. Very expensive and very low volume. NBIS, not schmexy at all. Kind of looks like trash, truth be told. NBIS, double top and heavy float with very light volume. Needs to break the VWAPA for it to be somewhat schmexy to me, but I don't think it's ever going to be schmexy at all because it's very expensive. It's very choppy. Doesn't look too good. All right, SILO. Let's take a look at SILO over here. SILO moving up on low volume, has a 13 million float. Volume is 653,000. Again, has very choppy, indecisive wicks right over here. So it's got that over here, all over here. All right. So SILO is moving up on some low volume as of now. SILO moving up on low volume. So we'll see what goes on there. Let's take a look at MNDR. MNDR, how's it doing? MNDR curling above the pennant right here. Looks like it's testing the VWAP and it broke through it. So MNDR, as of now, MNDR broke the pennant and the VWAPA. All right, or actually, and is peaking above the VWAPA as of now. That's what it's doing right there. That's what it's doing right there. So boom. All right, BENF, BENF. Let's see how BENF is holding up. It did have a nice run up 92%. 92%. Hold on, let me get a pen. 1 second. Let's see here. Where the pen's at? DBO mom stole my pens. She stole that. She stole that. All right, hold on. I wish I knew where my pens were. Oh well. All right. It'd be like that sometimes. Unfortunate. All right, BENF now on a bit of a downtrend. Did have something of a downtrend going on over here. So, needs to break the downtrend for BENF for it to be somewhat schmexy to me. BENF needs to break the downtrend and the VWAPA for it to be somewhat schmexy to me. There we go. Very, 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 very choppy as of now. All right. Let's see how AUUD is holding up. AUUD trying to curl, but still needs to break that pennant. AUUD, again, had a nice run up 100%. Trying to curl. Still needs to break the pennant and the VWAPA. There we go. There we go. There we go. All right. Let's see what else we got over here. What else we got? All right. Let's see here. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. All right. Hold on. All right. Let's take a look at TCMD. 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 Choppy. Choppy, choppy, choppy. A lot of chop right here. Actually, hold on. Let me go back here. Lot of chop right over here. Lot of chop right over here. All right. TCMD. TCMD. Low volume has a float of 19 million, which is pretty heavy. Volume is 26,000. TCMD low volume. Can it stay above the VWAPA? Because it's currently above the VWAPA. Can it stay there? All right, that's the thing. That's the thing that I want to see going on right there. It looks like it's forming a bit of a double top. That's what it looks like it's forming right now. So we'll see what happens with it. We shall see what happens with it as of now. Let's take a look over here. Hold on. 1 second. 1 second. Let's see here. Somebody requested MNDR. MNDR. Looks like it's still trying to stay above that pennant right there. It needs to break the VWAP. MNDR trying to stay above the pennant. All right, so that's what it's trying to do right there. All right, I'll even move the pennant a little bit. Boom. All right, needs to stay above the pennant right there. Looks like it's trying to climb, but it's pulling back a little bit. So we'll see what happens there. All right, MNDR, that's what's got going on. All right, RENX. Somebody requested RENX. All right, let's see what it's got going on. Let's see what it's got going on here. Okay, so as of now, RENX is below the VWAP right there. Not looking too schmexy. All right, it's moved its way on up over here, bot right there, but then formed a bit of a double top and is now a VWAP or a pennant below the VWAP. So as of now, it needs to break the double top, needs to break the pennant, and needs to break the VWAP. It's got a lot of things to break. The double top is at 18 cents. Over here, it's a penny stock, so it's going to be very, very choppy as of now. Let's see what we got over here. All right. The float is 5 million, which is a reasonable float. Volume is 74 million, so that's excellent in terms of float and volume. But as of now, it doesn't have much in the news department over here other than an offering. So, not looking too schmexy there. Unconfirmed Q4 earnings due in 12 days on Monday, March 2nd during the market hours. So it's got that going on. RENX, not looking too schmexy as of now. RENX needs to break the pennant, VWAP, and the double top. So as of now, needs a lot more volume than it already has. So that's what it's got going on here. SNSE just popped up. All right. Major price spike over here. Major price spike. SNSE. Not a stock I necessarily trust. I mean, it is a bagger, but not something I necessarily full-on trust. You know what I mean? Not something I full-on trust. SNSE. Shot up like a rocket. Up 212%. All right, so we got that going on right there. Not necessarily a stock I trust, but we'll see what goes on there, ladies and gentlemen. We shall see what goes on. All right. Hold on 1 second. 1 second. 1 second. Right there. All right. Let's see here. All right. So, as of now, that's what it's got going on. SNSE. We'll see what goes on. It's making a nice move upward. All right. And yeah, that's what's got going on. That is what it's got going on right there. All right, so let's see here. How's JDZG doing? JDZG had a nice 131% run. Still below the VWAP, though. Still needs to break that VWAP. JDZG still needs to break the VWAP for it to be somewhat schmexy to me. There we go. Somebody requested LFS. LFS. Let's take a look here. Hold on. LFS. All right. LFS. Very choppy. Very, very choppy. Not looking too schmexy to me. Very choppy as of now. Not looking too good. Look at that. Not looking schmexy. Very choppy. Low volume. Down 3%. Not looking too schmexy to me. There we go. All right, let's take this over here. LFS. Very choppy. With low volume, needs to break the VWAPA. So LFS, not a very good setup there. Nola James, welcome to the stream. He says AUUD. AUUD, let's take a look. AUUD, as of now, had a nice run up 100%, currently up 65% now. Has some unconfirmed Q4 earnings due in 14 days from now on Wednesday, March 4th, after the market close. So it's got that going on right there. As of now, currently, though, it's just doing its thing, staying up above 65 cents. Again, had a nice move up 100 before, but has since pulled back a little bit. So it's got that going on right there. That is what it's got going on. It needs to break above the pennant over here, as well as the VWAP over here. Let's take a look at the float and volume. The float is 3 million. Volume is 59 million for AUUD. So we got that going on. Does it have news other than those unconfirmed Q4 earnings? It does have news that it did have a major merger deal that went through. So it had a merger deal that went on with Thraman Holdings LLC. So basically, they have a merger. This is a merger play. So that's what's got going on right there. It needs to break above the pennant still. AUUD still needs to break above that pennant. AUUD still needs to break the pennant and the VWAP merger play, ladies and gentlemen. Merger play. All right. So that's what it is. That's what it still is. AUUD has that going on right there. Still needs to break that pennant. Still needs to break that VWAP. Syed, welcome to the stream. He says CMPS. CMPS. Let's take a look at CMPS. All right. CMPS, I can tell just by looking at this over here, has low volume. All right. A lot of indecisive wicks here. A lot of indecisive wicks here. All right, has low volume, but it is moving. It's moving up on that low volume. So I could give it that. I got to give it its flowers there. All right, but it is moving up on some low volume there. So let's take a look over here. All right, did have a bit of a odd and choppy. Hold on. A to B, B to C, C to D. All right, again, odd and choppy. So, But as of now, it's currently above the VWAP, which is good. That's good. It has some unconfirmed Q4 earnings in 12 days from now on Monday, March 2nd just before the market opens. So you got that going on right there. Let's take a look at the float for CMPS. CMPS's float is 91.8 million. So it's a very heavy float. Volume is 250,000. So again, very heavy float, very light on the volume. Not something I particularly find schmexy. Let's take a look at the news. Doesn't have anything really for today. Let's see about yesterday. Yes, it does. It did have a Form Schedule 13D that it filed. It commenced a $150 million offering yesterday and filed a Form 424B5, as well as launched again, $150 million public offering. So the reason why it's probably going down as of now, and why it's choppy without much volume. Actually, it's going up, excuse me. The reason why it's very choppy and low volume is probably because of the fact that it did have that public offering yesterday. So it did have that public offering. It still needs to go, it's still going up. It's still moving up on some very low volume, but again, it's low volume. So me personally, I'd be very wary of that. I keep an eye on it. CMPS, ABCD bull pattern on low volume. All right. This is a public offering play. Not something I'd really find myself in, but sometimes, it'd be like that. SGN, Nola James asked for SGN. Let's take a look over here. SGN as of now, all right, looking, it's all right. Again, has some indecisive wicks here, but nothing too crazy. Let's take a look at the float. Float is 13.7 million. Volume is 12.3 million. So as of now, the float is just a little higher than the volume. So it's got that going on right there. Float is still pretty high though. SGN has news that, let's see here, the reason why it's trending on Tuesday night, which was yesterday, is that the shares of the digital sports recruitment platform climbed 4.79% to 44 cents in after hours trading on Tuesday after the company confirmed that the SEC declared its merger registration statement effective January 30th. So as of now, it's basically going to have a merger. This is going to be a merger play again. Another little merger over here. Filed the Form 8 as well. They have a business combination agreement with blockchain and received SEC approval. So they got that going on right there. They announced their effectiveness of their Form S4 registration statement and March 13th, 2026 special stockholder meeting to approve a business combination with blockchain, with the AI up there. So blockchain AI, blockchain AI, or whatever they want to call it there. It's basically that right there. So let's see what we got going on up here. Currently, though, this stock is having a bit of a movement upward as of now. Nice move upward over here. All right. And it kind of has a bit of a pennant going on right here. Curled off this pennant, right? And then kind of made another pennant right over here. So as of now, it needs to stay above the VWAP. Very, very choppy as of now. So there we go. There we go. There we go. SGN, as of now, choppy. I keep an eye on it. I keep a very close eye on it, me personally. But as of now, very choppy to me. Not something I personally would trade right now, me personally, but that's just me. So SGN, as of now, choppy with some low volume, needs to break the pennant and stay above the VWAPA. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Alex Martinez says, I'm up $57 on SGN from a small position yesterday, but I've never lost money on SGN. They always have amazing charts. Well, yeah, I can agree that I've had good experience with SGN in the past, but at the same token, it is very choppy as of now. They do have a merger going on, which is good. It's good news, but it's currently up 5% and very, very choppy as of now. So not something I personally trade right now. Has a bit of a resistance point too, I've noticed, right over here at the 48-cent mark, and also right over here, boom, at the 46-cent mark over here, and again right over here at the 48-cent mark. So it has a bit of a double top, all right, and a bunch of resistance lines. So as of now, SGN also needs to break those resistance lines. SGN needs to break the resistance and double tops. So that's what it's got going on. Has some double tops going on there as well. So we'll see what goes on there. We shall see what goes on right there. Let's see. Let's take a look at SYNA. Someone requested SYNA. SYNA, very choppy, not looking schmexy. Kind of looks like booty, truthfully. All right, let's take a look over here. Boom, right there. Not looking too good. Very choppy. Very, very choppy as of now. Oh, even shows more chop right down here. Right down there. So as of now, SYNA, not schmexy to me. Very expensive too, $85.63. Not a stock I personally would be interested in. Float is 23 million. Volume is 1.1 thousand. So we got that going on right there. Float is heavy. Very low volume. So as of now, SYNA choppy with low volume. So we got that going on right there. That is what we got going on right there. Boom. All right. SNSE still climbing its way on up 263%. SNSE 263%. All right. Now 277%. SNSE moving up like crazy. Right now, 283%. 283% right there. All right. So now 283%. There we go. All right. All right. SNSE moving up nicely. Has a low float. Nice volume to it. Float is to 847,000. Volume is 2 million. So it shot up like a rocket. It's looking pretty good. A little bit pricey. It is $34 and change. So we got that going on, but it is looking pretty good. All right. All right. Let's see what else we got over here. All right. Somebody requested OXY. Let's see here. All right. Not looking schmexy here. Not looking schmexy. Has a conference call scheduled for tomorrow, 1 p.m. Even has a Q4 earnings announcement confirmed after market close today. But it's got choppiness here, choppiness all the way over here, and choppiness here, as well as here. So, as of now, it's pretty choppy. Not looking too schmexy. All right, there we go. Not looking too interesting to me. Very choppy. Right there. All right, actually, let me move this over here. Boom. All right. So, as of now, OXY, very choppy. Not looking too schmexy, too mya. There we go. Very choppy and expensive. Not looking too schmexy there. All right. Let's see here. Somebody requested GME. All right, that's GameStop. I love GameStop. I mean, I miss the old company, though. All right. Choppiness over here. Choppy over here. And choppy over here. Very choppy. Also below the VWAP. Not looking too schmexy right now. Not looking too schmexy right there. GME. Choppy with low volume as of now. Very choppy with low volume. Much like GameStop as a company. There we go. All right, let's see here. Somebody's requested INTC. INTC, let's take a look at INTC. All right. INTC, as of now, bit of a pennant right over here. INTC as of now needs to break the pennant. Needs to break the pennant. Not looking too schmexy though. Needs to break the pennant and the VWAP for it to be even remotely interesting to me. Right now though, doesn't look too interesting. INTC needs to break the pennant and the VWAP for it to be somewhat schmexy to me. There we go. There we go. All right. All right. All right. All right. SNSE, how's it doing? Still moving its way on up. SNSE, still moving, still climbing its way up. Possible ABCD bull pattern. All right, from what coach is telling me, he's seen an ABCD bull pattern there, so I believe him. I believe him. All right, let's take a look, see what else we got going on here. What else we got? What else we got? Let me add him. Let me add him. Hold on 1 second. 1 second right here. All right, give me a sec. There we go. All right. 1 sec. All right. Not looking. Yeah, I mean, the SNSC is moving up nicely. Has a bit of a double top forming here, though. I will say that. Has to break the $33.23 mark for it to be schmexy to mya. Right there. Has to break that. Has to break that, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Give me 1 second. 1 second. 1 sec. All right. All right. All right. Let's see here. Yep. All right. Yep. There we go. All right. So, as of now, that's what we got going on. Let's take a look over here. Let's see what else we got. What else we got? Let me add them. Let me add them. All right, and ladies and gentlemen, let's get a share party going. Let's get the 900. 900, ladies and gentlemen. Come on now. Let's get a share party going on. Share party, share party, share party. All right. Let's take a look over here. All right. 1 sec. All right. 1 second. All right. SILO. Let's take a look at SILO. This was another request over here. SILO. Went up a bit, but then went back down. Not looking too schmexy here. All right. Has to break this pennant. Has to break the VWAP. Not looking too schmexy. SILO. SILO needs to break the pennant and the VWAP. Not looking too schmexy, very low volume, not looking too good right there. All right, let's see what we got going on, folks. That's what we got going on. Hold on, right here, bop, right there. All right. All right, let's take a look. Somebody requested FJET, FJET, not looking too schmexy. Not looking too schmexy right there. All right, boom. Let's see what we got going on here. A lot of chop. Whole lot of chop. All right, this whole stock looks chopped. All right, chop over here, chop over here, chop over here. Not looking too schmexy. All right, very, very, very choppy as of now, and has a bit of a pennant right over here. All right, so as of now, FJET needs to break the pennant. Very choppy. And fell below the VWAPA. Because it did fall below the VWAPA with the choppy candle right there. It's not looking too schmexy. FJET, not looking too schmexy. IBRX, somebody requested IBRX. Let's take a look. Not schmexy there. Hold on. IBRX, choppiness. Choppy. Had a bit of a price spike. All right, but let's take a look at the float. Float is 330 million, which is heavy. Heavy as heck. Volume is 381,000. So, choppiness, low volume. Has a bit of a pennant right here. Not anything I'd personally trust. IBRX. As of now, choppy with low volume. Needs to break the pennant. All right, not looking too schmexy there. Let's take a look at AUUD, see how it's doing. AUUD did temporarily break above the pennant right now, just a little bit. All right, so it's got that going on right there. AUUD trying to break above the pennant. So we got that going on right there. JDZG, how's it doing? JDZG still on the downtrend slightly over here. JDZG needs to break the downtrend. Needs to break the downtrend over here.
I have a question on RXT. It's a heavy float stock, RXT.
RXT?
Yep.
All right, let's take a look at RXT then. Hold on one second before we do. APRE. Double bottom over here. Very choppy and consolidated, though.
Very heavy float stock.
Yep. So APRE, 6 million float. Volume is 2 million. APRE moving up on some low volume, but also very consolidated now. So we got that going on right there. Hold on. APRE. Consolidated along the VWAPA. Needs more volume. All right, and what was the one that you wanted there, Coach? All right, let's see. Oh, there's the request. RXT has confirmed Q4 earnings in 8 days from now on Thursday, February 26th, before the market opens. RXT is up 150%. So we got that going on right there. Let's take a look over here. Let's take a look. RXT, nice bit of movement over here. Needs to break above this pennant. All right, had a nice shot upward. Needs to break above the pennant, up 150%. Up 150% as of now. RXT up 150%. Needs to break above the pennant for it to continue to climb. All right. Let's take a look here, ladies and gentlemen. Let's take a look-see. All right. So, as of now, RXT went up 150% and still made that nice climb over there, ladies and gentlemen. So, we got that going on right there. Yes, sir. All right. Let's see what else we got. Let's see how JDZG is doing. JDZG. Still on the downtrend. Not looking too schmexy there. All right. TCMD. Has news that tactile systems are trading higher after the company reported better than expected Q4 financial results and issued fiscal year 2026 sales guidance above estimates, with multiple firms raising their respective price target on the stock. So it's got that going on right there. TCMD. TCMD still needs volume, though. It is on a slight uptrend, but it does need volume. On a choppy and consolidated uptrend, needs more volume for it to be somewhat schmexy to mya. There we go. All right, let's see here. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Ooh, let me get that stretching. Ooh, there we go. All right, let's get a share party going. Let's get to 1200. 1200, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get to 1200. 1200, 1200, 1200. All right, let's see. All right, let's take a look at a fan favorite, ASST. ASST, this has been requested of me quite a bit. Very choppy, though. Very choppy. ASST. Choppy. Needs more volume to break above the VWAP. ASST. Choppy. Needs more volume to break above the VWAP for it to be somewhat schmexy to mya. There we go. All right. BYND. All right. Very, very choppy for BYND. BYND, very choppy. 6% up. Unconfirmed Q4 earnings due in 12 days on March 2nd, Monday, after the market close. So BYND, as of now, needs to break above the double top and resistance. Needs more volume as well to stay above that VWAP. So we got that going on right there. OPN. Let's get a share party going. Let's get the 1300. All right. has a conference call scheduled for tomorrow at 5 p.m. Q4 earnings confirmed tomorrow on February 19th after the market close. So we got that going on right there. So, yeah, that's what we got going on right there. Has some consolidation right over here. Consolidation at the $4.39 mark. All right. Very, very choppy. OPEN, very choppy. Needs to break the resistance lines. Very choppy. Needs volume to break the resistance lines. There we go. There we go. There we go. There we go. All right. So we got that going on right there. Let's see what else we got here. Somebody requested CIFR. CIFR. Okay. Needs to break the downtrend. Has Q4 earnings confirmed for in 6 days from now on February 24th before the market opened. So you got that going on right there. CIFR needs to break the downtrend and the VWAPA. There we go. And ladies and gentlemen, by the way, be sure to check out our 4-day trial for the real-time alerts and scanners for only $9.99. Link to join is in the description down below, as well as the pinned comment section, so be sure to check that out. We pick a lot of baggers a lot of times. We are just made different, and the early bird gets the cash. We already called SNSE prior to its 277% run, JDZG prior to that 131% run, AUUD prior to a 100% run, right? Looking schmexy. All right. And ladies and gentlemen, when you get our wonderful 4-day trial, you gain access to our spectacular Discord community. Now, people say, oh, yeah, all the time. They say, oh, my Discord community is amazing. No, I mean it. Our Discord community is actually amazing. All right. Because we have all sorts of things that they don't. We put in a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of money into the server, so that way it can be not just a place of education, but a place where you can keep an eye on the stocks in real time, right? So, for example, right, we got the war room over here, which is where all of the correspondence for all of our wonderful, amazing members goes, and we basically have a lot of constructive criticism there, a lot of ideas being thrown around, all sorts of amazing stuff there. They basically throw ideas around, they talk to each other, they build themselves up, they build each other up, right? And they basically develop themselves in an even more positive manner, right? After that, we got the market mover scanner, which you're currently seeing on the left side of the screen right over here, which shows the ticker, price, volume, float, the change in percentage, as well as whether the stock is moving up and down, as well as the time in which it was scanned, which is normally every minute on the minute during the stock market, ladies and gentlemen. Every single hour of the stock market, from the beginning of pre-market hours all the way to the end of after hours, ladies and gentlemen. That's how long this scanner goes for, ladies and gents. All right. Even has hyperlinks to the stock. So if you want more information on the stock, all you have to do is click the hyperlink. You get the float, you get the volume, you get the chart, you get the news, all sorts of cool, amazing stuff there. Not to mention the fact that there's also access to the newsroom, right? The newsroom, which basically gives you access to all sorts of amazing articles pertaining to different stocks in the stock market. It pulls from all over the stock market, basically gives you a small synopsis of what's in the article, then basically gives you a hyperlink to read the full article, and to top it off, gives you access to the ticker that is affiliated with the news within said article. So all you have to do is click over here, boom, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, you got the chart, you got all the information you need to know about the stock, etc., where it's going, all that good stuff. And basically, yeah, you just get access to that as well. And you get access to our amazing ticker tape. Yes, we got the bell. The bell! It deafens me. But as I was saying, ladies and gentlemen, you get the ticker tape as well, which shows all the tickers that we are keeping an eye on. All of the tickers that we're basically keeping an eye on that are moving up nicely. That is what the ticker tape is. And we have so much more, ladies and gentlemen, so much more. So that's what we got going on right there. So let's take a look over here. Let's take a look over here and see what we got going on, because the bell just hit. The bell just hit, ladies and gentlemen. The bell! The bell! It deafens me. All right. So as of now, let's take a look, see what we got going on right here. Let's see what we got going on. All right. All right. Mmm.
Spies diving. Dumpster diving. LRHC curling towards the VWAP.
LRHC. Let's take a look over here. LRHC. All right. Taking a nice slight curl towards the VWAP right there. Taking a nice slight curl towards the VWAP. Has news that La Rosa Holdings are trading higher after the company announced it acquired the remaining 49% interest in La Rosa Realty Prestige. So we got that going on right there. LRHC needs to break above the VWAPA, but it is curling. LRHC curling off the descending wedge right there. LRHC curling off the descending wedge. Boom, right there. All right, there we go. Let's take a look at TCMD. TCMD. Tactile Systems Technology shares are trading higher after the company reported better than expected Q4 financial results and issued a fiscal year 2026 sales guidance above estimates, with multiple firms raising their respective price target on the stock. So that's good news for them. That's good news. They still need to break that choppiness and that consolidation. So it still needs to break that. TCMD still needs to break the choppiness and consolidation. There you go. Still needs to break that for it to be somewhat schmexy to mya. There we go. All right, let's take a look at JDZG. JDZG, 20 million float, 50 million volume. Let's see what we got going on here. All right, trying to curl off this downtrend a little bit. It looks like it's trying to curl off the downtrend slightly. All right, so we got that going on right there. JDZG trying to curl off the downtrend. Let's see what we got going on there. Let's see what we got going on. Boom, right there. All right. Okay. Let's see what else we got. Somebody requested SATL. All right. Let's take a look at SATL. Not looking too schmexy. Dropping like a rock. Has low float showing here, low volume over here, and over here. A lot of choppiness going on. Moving on a bit of a downtrend so far. All right, so needs to break the downtrend and needs to break above. Needs to hold above the VWAPA right here. So as of now, SATL needs to break the downtrend and hold above the VWAPA. Low volume. Not looking too schmexy to mya there. Let's see what else we got. Let's see. All right, there we go. All right, one second. Let's take a look over here. See what else we got. Alex says LRHC amazing push off the pennant. Let's take a look at LRHC, see how it's doing. Yes, sir. Has a nice push off that descending wedge going on right there. Still pushing off, still climbing up. Needs to break that VWAP though, LRHC. All right, having a nice push right off the descending wedge. And, all right, needs to still break the VWAPA for it to be schmexy to mia, but it's moving up nicely so far. It's moving up nicely, slowly but surely climbing its way on up towards the VWAP. So we'll see what happens there. We shall see what happens with that stonk right there, ladies and gentlemen. We shall see. We shall see. All right. Let's take a look and see what else we got right there. Let's see how CMPS is doing. CMPS. All right, let's see here. Needs to break this little pennant right over here. Needs to break the pennant right there. CMPS. CMPS needs to break the pennant. All right, there we go. Right there. Boom. All right. So, yeah, that's pretty much what we got going on, ladies and gentlemen. That is what we got going on. All right, give me 1 second. 1 second. Hold on. Okay, there we go. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's see here. What do we got? All right.
LRHC trying to test the VWAP.
Yeah, it is. LRHC trying to test that VWAP right there. Trying to test it. All right. Let's see here. All right. LRHC. Oop. Let's see what we got going on. All right. Hold on. Yep. Looks like it's trying to test the VWAP a little bit. It's still climbing up there a little bit. LRHC trying to test the VWAP. There we go. All right. So that's what we got going on, folks. That is what we got going on. LRHC. There we go. All right. Okay. There we are. All right, ladies and gentlemen. That's pretty much it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, as well as ring that bell icon to stay notified when new videos are uploaded. And remember to share, because sharing is caring, ladies and gentlemen. Sharing is caring. And of course, if you want access to our private Discord, link to join us in the description down below, as well as the pinned comment section. So be sure to check that out. We pick a lot of baggers a lot of times. We're just made different. And the early bird gets the cash, the moolah, the loot, the cashola, the big bucks, I tell you. Ladies and gentlemen, be sure to check out our YouTube channel at Coaching Money. At Coaching Money. Yes, sir. Hold on. SNSE curling its way on up off the descending wedge.
Volume.
Yes, low volume. SNSE, 4 million volume, 847,000 float. So we got that going on right there. Sensei Biotherapeutics shares are trading higher, with the company announcing a $200 million concurrent private placement. So we got that going on right there. SNSE curling off the descending wedge right there. There we go. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, be sure to check us out on our X.com, aka Twitter, at Coaching Money.
At Coaching Money.
At Coaching Money. Be sure to check us out on our Twitch, at Coaching Money.
At Coaching Money.
At Coaching Money. All of which we do lots of live streams, lots of stock reviews, stock analysis, etc. All right. Be sure to check us out on our Facebook, Instagram, and Threads at Coaching Money. At Coaching Money. And be sure to check out our TikTok, Tiki-Taki, aka the Tac Tac. The Tac Tac. You can find us there at DBL Nicks. At DBLNICKS, and the screen name is Coach Nick Money. So that's what we got going on right there, ladies and gentlemen. That is what we got going on. And ladies and gents, be sure to check out our upcoming show. It's coming out at 1:30 p.m. today, called Power Plays. All right, it's going to be featuring the host of the show, the legend himself, Coach Nick Money, as he basically, goes into the stock market, does reviews on the stocks, takes a look at the A, B, C, D patterns and all the other wonderful patterns there, gives his honest review on the stocks prior to the power hour, and then basically what he does is he just says, all right, lets him simmer on high heat, lets him simmer on high heat while he gets down to bee's knees, getting dubs for the community. Getting dubs for the community, ladies and gentlemen. So yeah, that's what he's doing right there. And of course, ladies and gents, be sure to check him out there. He'll be on YouTube. He'll be on X. He'll be on Twitch at Coaching Money.
At Coaching Money.
At Coaching Money. You'll be able to check him out. Also, ladies and gentlemen, be sure to check out our 4-day trial for the real-time alerts and scanners for only $9.99. Link to join us in the description down below, as well as the pinned comments section. So be sure to check that out, because we pick a lot of baggers a lot of times. We are just made different, and the early bird gets the cash. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, we have an amazing community, but everybody says that they have an amazing community. So what's different about us? We have all sorts of amazing tools that we have put into this community and this Discord. We actually put money down like an actual business does, compared to all these other fools that think that they know what they're doing, but they really don't, because they're kind of trash, and not gonna lie. Anyways, but what I will say is this. Basically, we got all sorts of tools in there, such as the market mover scanner, which you are looking at on the left side of the screen right over here, which shows the ticker price, volume, float, etc., the change in percentage, whether the stock is moving up or down, the time at which it was scanned, etc., etc., etc. Gives you all that good stuff. Hyperlinks to all sorts of tickers with all sorts of floats, charts, and other news. All right, and updates, all sorts of cool stuff right there. All right, you get access to the newsroom, which is on the right-hand side of the screen right now. It gives you access to all sorts of just news, updates, articles, synopsises of said articles, hyperlinks to the full article, and of course, all sorts of tickers that are affected by the news within said article that are also hyperlinks. So you can check those out, ladies and gentlemen. And also, to top it off, you get access to the ticker tape, which is basically a place where we keep an eye on the stocks. It shows the stocks that are moving up and moving quite actively, and basically says, hey, we're keeping an eye on it right here. This is a ticker that we're keeping an eye on, right? And it gives you a hyperlink to that stock as well. So you can take a look at the float, volume, news, etc., all sorts of information on it. And to top it off, ladies and gentlemen, if you want even higher than that, you want more information, you can join the Wealth Builders, which basically gives you access to everything in the real-time alerts and scanners. Plus, of course, you get access to a Wealth Builders exclusive chat, an exclusive line directly to Coach Nick Money and myself, more Wealth Builders exclusive scanners. You get access to the Wealth Builders exclusive content, such as behind-the-scenes footage, the 500-plus educational course, which shows all the stocks that we've kept an eye on throughout the years. It shows how we trade, what works best for us, and all sorts of other amazing information that can help not just new traders, but also experienced and seasoned traders get new insights. And also, to top it off, ladies and gentlemen, you gain access to our alert archives that we've been doing since the dawn of Coach Nick Money. The whole thing being founded, you know what I mean? So yeah, that's a lot of stuff right there. And of course, you gain access to our scripts and other amazing footage. So, yeah, that's what we got going on right there. That's what we got going on right there. So, much love, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, as well as ring that bell icon to stay notified when new videos are uploaded. And remember to share. Because sharing is caring, ladies and gentlemen. Sharing is caring. And, of course, if you want access to our private Discord, again, link to join us in the description down below, as well as the pinned comment section. So be sure to check that out, because we pick a lot of baggers a lot of times. We're just made different, and the early bird gets the cash. And ladies and gentlemen, be sure to check us out. Check out our Power Plays show. That'll be appearing at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be sure to check out all that wonderful stuff. It's Double Nicks. I love you guys. I love you. And I'm out of here. I'm with the Serengeti specialist herself. She likes to hang around the tall weeds, the high trees, the low seas, hitting them high knees. Sometimes she likes 2 cups of coffee. Other times she likes to jet ski. Other times she likes to regular ski. Sometimes she likes to get shot out the cannon and she goes, wee! Hold on, let me get some water in me. Other times she likes to go to Arby's and watch videos of puppies and kitties. And other times she likes to go into the stock market and she'll find them ABCDs. After all, she did find some wonderful stocks like BENF, JDZG, SNSE, and AUUD. We call her DBM Moms. Hey! All right, and that's what we got going on, folks. That is what we got going on. So, much love. Take care of yourselves. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Power Plays, and peace out.